Hey everyone, welcome back to Wander Freely. I have Chris again.
Hey guys.
I know, it's so much fun having you for videos again.
It's great to be here.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking all about getting fuel, gassing up, because yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a different kind of situation when you're towing something.
This is the worst part of RVing for a lot of people, I think. It was for me. It was what I thought about a lot of times. Gassing up on travel days when you're towing your RV.
It was a big deal. And Mark, Thank you for making sure that we do this video, and you've been asking for it. Thank you for your patience. You've been asking for it for so long. We are finally doing it.
We deliver.
Because we actually learned a lot of tips. Actually, some from an actual expert.
Actually, yes.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah, so some from an expert and
gasoline expert.
And some that we've just picked up along the way. But the biggest thing is we want to try to help you get over, if you are a little anxious about it or have some fears, we want to help you.
Totally justified, but yeah, we want to help.
Yeah, because it is a big deal.
Sure. Oh yeah, I still don't look forward to it.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary evil.
Yeah. So let's start out with the worst case scenario, which would be the first time that we filled up.
Yeah. We did not get off to a good start. And we were starting everything new. I mean, the RVing was new. Towing the big trailer was new. And the first thing that we had to do before we headed out of town was fuel up.
So our very first gas station was actually near our hometown because we were visiting, saying goodbye to our families. And it was a Love's.
A brand new Love's. Huge. I mean, it was enormous. It was like one of their flagship stations. This thing was less than a year old, and it was enormous. And
kind of near Harrisburg, which is the capital of Pennsylvania. So it's not the biggest city, obviously, in Pennsylvania, but it is a large city, and this was a big Love's.
It was a big Love's, and I figured, with it being
a lot of traffic.
We had that going for us. It was going to be big and spacious and wide open and all that, and it was, which was great. And so we go for it, and we pull in, and there's literally, you think you know what you're getting into, but there was literally like 150 tractor trailers back there.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm going into their territory, which
right. So
I was nervous about.
All you tractor trailer drivers, because I know that there are some that watch our channel too, we were really nervous about it. We get it. You guys have a job to do, and it's
Absolutely.
A big deal. You got to be on time. You got to set plan. And
I just want to stay out of the way.
We're like the vacationers,
Get in, do what I got to do quickly, I know what I'm doing, and get out of there.
Right, it's intimidating.
You guys can keep doing what you're doing. Now it's time to fuel up, and I'm going through the big rig lanes. So I go back out, get in the camper, and it was a particularly busy day. All of the lanes had a big truck in them.
Okay, I'll be right there.
So I pick one and get in line, and my mind's just going a mile a minute. How can I make this go quickly, right? So I pull in behind somebody, and I'm waiting. And the tractor trailers, they have huge tanks. It's gonna take them a while to fill up. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I can figure out how, because I'm thinking all I've ever done is filled up, passenger vehicles, right? Where you pull in, you swipe your card, you gas up, and you go. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to do that here. At some point, I get the idea that, I should go in and check in with the attendant. To this day, I don't really know why I did that, because I put the truck in park. It's behind the tractor trailer that's in the gas lane. I put the truck in park, and I go inside. Well, it must have been 5 seconds after I start walking in. The guy in front of me, he's done. He pulls through. So now my truck and trailer is just sitting in the middle of everything, blocking traffic. I don't even get into the office, and I hear over the loudspeaker, over the entire facility, blaring loudspeaker, would the owner of the truck and RV please pull forward? You're in everybody's way, basically. And it doesn't hit me at first, but I'm like, that must be me. I'm the only RV back there. So I go running back to my truck, get in, pull forward. Now at least I'm at the gas pump. So I hop out, swipe my card. I think I'm home free now. Nothing happens. Swipe it again. Nothing. Says go in, see attendant. And at this point, like, I mean, the sweat's pouring down my head because I'm like, this is taking forever. It's already going bad. They've already yelled at me over the speaker. Now I'm here. A tractor trailer had pulled in behind me, so he's waiting. So now I got to get going. But I run back into the office, check in with her. She's like, yeah, if you're not a commercial driver, you know, with a specific kind of card, you got to pay ahead of time. Great. So, which basically means if you want a receipt, 2 trips. Because you're going to go in, you're going to give them your card, they swipe it to get the whole process going. But you don't know how much it's going to take. So, you know, you pre-authorize $100 or whatever it's going to be, and then you head back out, you gas up, but then you got to go back in if you want a receipt. Well, I go out and take the nozzle off, put it in the fuel tank. This should be the easy part, right? Take the fuel cap off. Now, so our Dodge, because those, and this is something to, you know, be aware of, you go into these big truck lanes, I mean, the gas pumps are made for tractor trailers. So, I mean, they have the big nozzles. It's like, I don't know, 1 inch diameter, 1.25 inches down, whatever. It's bigger than the gas pumps that you see at, you know, your normal gas station. So if your gas tank isn't set up for that, you're not going to be able to fit the pump into your gas tank. Now, our Dodge, it was set up. So it had the big, you know, the big gas, yeah, which was good. But what I didn't realize is, like, I mean, it is just barely big enough for the pump to fit in. So the first time, I'm thinking this stuff's going to come gushing out of here. I'm putting that pump all the way in as far as I can before I hit go. So I do that and I start pumping up. And of course the fuel's just flying in there because it's like, you know, high capacity or whatever. So in about 30 seconds, I got a full tank, which is great. This is going faster now. So I'm done. Go to take the pump out of the tank. It's stuck. I mean, it's stuck. Like, at this point, how is this even happening? How is this possible? And I'm wiggling it this way, that way, up and down. It got to the point where I'm pulling with all my might to get this thing, and it wouldn't move. I'm really sweating now, and I'm looking around for help. Like, just somebody bail me out of this. I was not going back in the office, right? Not yet, because I knew I had to go in to get a receipt, but I wasn't going to go in to get somebody, come out, get the pump, and then go back in for a receipt. So, and at this point, you know, the diesel pump up process, it's messy. It's messy if it all goes well, and this is not going well. So, I mean, my hands, my face, I got diesel everywhere. And I'm going to town on this thing trying to get it out. And somehow, I mean, it was probably a solid 2 minutes, which doesn't sound long, but it's an eternity when it's just something is not going right. I jiggle it the right way or something, it came out. Thank goodness, pump comes out. And I looked, I mean, there's a lip on the end of the pump, which, you know, helps keep it in there because the fuel comes out of there so fast. Well, that lip is what got stuck, and I put the pump in too far. Anyway, it came out, so hang that thing up. I go running into the office to cash out, you know, get my receipt. So I go in there, and I didn't notice at the time, but I found out later that Jen and her mom were inside at this point, and they happened to see me come in. And, like, I'm just sweating, covered in diesel. I look like, I mean, it just, I was
he looked like he had
frazzled,
been through,
to say the least.
Yeah, my mom and I were both like, oh.
It's not going well.
I think all the things that happened to us right when we were leaving, it was such a crazy time, and we were doing this adventure that, like, we knew nothing about, and there were so many times where we were like, seriously? Maybe we should just quit.
We may not be cut out for this. I mean,
Right.
I'm trying to fuel up the truck, and it's going this poorly.
Right, and this is after we couldn't get our RV unhitched the first time we drove it home.
That's right.
We couldn't get it unhitched.
No.
We had to get the guy from the dealership
The
to come
dealer.
out and help us. And we were like, how are we going to do this all the way across the country and back? Like, so if you are considering full-time RVing, if you're new to this, if you have those feelings of like, I don't know about this, don't worry.
And if you
we've been there too.
You watch us recently and you're like, wow, they really know what they're doing. Boy, we didn't start out that way.
No, and I don't.
Not
I mean,
even
it's
close.
just it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Everything will be fine. But so we have definitely had those moments, and that was one of those where Chris really felt like
It was bad.
how am I going,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to get
How am I
gas?
going to do this every time?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, every time I fuel up, I'm going to be going through the big rig lanes, because you just figure that's what you're going to do. And doing that every time, it sounded bad. It was a rough start.
Yeah.
It really was. But we got through it.
Yeah.
It was fine. Pulled out, and, it was done.
So after that first time, I think Chris never wanted to get gas again.
Then I started planning my trips where each travel day was less than a tank of gas.
Right.
So I could get where we were going, unhitch, and go get gas.
And honestly, that kind of worked for us because by 4 hours, we're kind of done being in the car.
And
like,
we had a lot of places to stop. So
Yes, we
we
had a
didn't
ton
feel
of
like we
stops.
were, making ridiculous stops just because, we didn't want to fuel up.
No, every
Yeah.
4 hours was about where we wanted to stop anyway. Like especially in the beginning there, it was like,
Yeah,
it was
a lot,
right
'cause
on
we could get
cue.
about 250 miles on a tank, so you can get pretty far. And
Yeah.
and
and
that
then we
helped.
were ready.
That really did help. For traveling across the country, maybe probably less than 10 times did we fuel up hooked up.
Yeah,
and across
totally.
the country and back. That's a lot of towing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but anyway, down the line, then we went. So that was in Pennsylvania, and then we went through Ohio, and eventually we got to. It was one of the I states. It might have been Iowa. I'm not sure, but eventually we got to another Love's that there was an attendant there, and he was a very, very nice man, and he was our gassing up expert that I referred to.
That's right.
But he actually gave us some tips, which was really, really helpful to us at the time, just to know and to feel more comfortable in for Chris to feel more comfortable in what he was doing, really, because it was on
Yes.
him. It was on his shoulders, really.
It was
So
much appreciated.
yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the tips that Chris has and that this guy also told us.
Yeah, this guy was really helpful. One of the things you'll notice when if you're pulling in using one of these big rig lanes, when you pull in, there's a gas pump on both sides of your vehicle. It's because the big rigs, they've got gas. Most of them, if not all of them, have gas tanks on both sides, so they can fill up 2 tanks at the same time. Our trucks, you don't have to do that. So you're going to pull in, and you start fueling up on this side. Well, he brought it to my attention, and it's one of those things you can't believe happens. But if you were to use the pump on the other side of your truck while you're using that one, there's a red light that comes on this gas pump, letting you know that that one's in use. And he said it's important because what he's seen happen, which is crazy, but somebody, an unsuspecting person pulls in, starts fueling up over here. Well, somebody in the next lane over will grab the pump from your lane and fill up
Yeah.
his truck on your dime.
Right, and if you're not paying attention, what will happen then is he's seen it happen where RVers will come in and then their bill will be like
$300.
right for gas,
Yeah.
and they're like, "There's no way I
How
did,"
did that happen?
that you're charged it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. So, but that red light will keep your eye out because the red light comes on
When the other one is
being used.
being used.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you don't see a red light, it's good. If you see a red light, check it out.
Something's up.
Yeah, something's
Yeah.
up for sure. What other tips? What about the nozzle thing?
Right, yeah, so the first time that I went, the nozzle, I couldn't get the thing back out. And I was talking to the guy about it, and we had a good laugh. And his tip, it was simple, but it made all the difference. He was like, you don't have to get the thing all the way in there for it to stay put. Basically, just get it, little weight, an inch in, a little bit in, and that's good. It'll fuel up fine. Stay with the pump. That's a good idea too. Make sure that, things are going where it needs to. But that was the only time, that very first time I had a problem with getting the pump back out. Just go in a little bit and it comes back out much, much easier. So that was a good tip. And then the other tip that he had in this one, it makes sense. He said a lot of guys, they actually keep just like disposable latex gloves that they'll use when they're pumping. Because diesel it's a different animal, in terms of it just gets all over you.
And it's all over you don't even have to get it on you, just being at those pumps. It's like
the pumps are covered with it.
Yeah.
So if you can't get through a fuel up. I don't think you can get through a fuel up without getting diesel on. And they have paper towels and stuff there too. Sometimes, not always, that you can wipe off. But he had recommended, a lot of guys use the gloves and they're pretty handy.
So what are some of the other things that we've learned, like difference between diesel and gas, now that we have a gas truck?
Right, so everything we've been talking about so far, it's for the diesel lanes, right? And going through the big rig diesel lanes. Well, if you don't have a diesel truck, that's not an option. So now that we've had the GMC, we have a whole different mindset for fueling up. And my new best friend is the Flying J's. And they're, similar to like the Loves or the Pilots, they've got the big rig lanes, they're They're major gas stations. But what sets Flying J's apart for RVers like us is that almost all of them have separate RV lanes. You go in, there's at least 2, sometimes up to 4 lanes, depending where you are in the country, that are just for RVs. You pull in, they've got gas or diesel at every lane. They've got pumps on either side, so you can come at it from either direction. And you got plenty of room for approach and plenty of room to get out. And they're great.
What about like if you can't get to, okay, so say you either have a diesel or a gas, but you can't get to one of those big places.
I'll usually look to fuel up before I get too close to a city, right? Like once you get inside of a beltway, things just kind of change because there's just less space, there's more development, gas stations are going to be a little bit tighter. There's been plenty of times where I've gotten off at an exit, you try a gas station, you get up to it and you're like, this just isn't going to work, you know, and you loop back around and you hop back on the road and you go down a little bit. Usually once I hit a quarter tank of gas, I'm looking. Like I don't wait till I get down to E so that I've basically got one shot when I get off at this exit. I'll give myself a little buffer so if it's just not working out, I can go farther down the road. A lot of planning goes into fuel stops.
I didn't know you thought about it this much.
Well, like before I leave for the day, like we'll know where we're going. I'll know how many miles, so I'll know about when I need to get gas. I'll look along the way. All right, what are my gas station options? And this really, it was peace of mind for me because I really do think about it a lot when you're on the, when you're on the road. If you find a gas station that you think you want to stop at, bring it up on Google Maps or whatever and do the satellite view, and you can see exactly how much room you're going to have to maneuver. Maybe that sounds nuts, but I actually did that a lot and it really helped because it gives you a game plan going into it before you're even there.
Before you're driving, he means. I think he made that clear, but just in case.
Yes, yeah, before we even get on the road. Or if you got a co-pilot, while you're on the road, Jen could look it up, bring up a satellite image, and she could tell me, okay, yeah, go here or go there. It really is helpful for, knowing ahead of time. Because
it's silly things like that, but truthfully, like, in his case, like, if that's something that makes him worked up or, like, stresses him out, like, of course you want to avoid that. You want to have a pleasant day. We enjoy our travel days. We enjoy traveling. We enjoy the freedom of it. But you don't feel very free if you're stressed about, well, where am I going to get gas, or what's it going to look like, or how am I going to pull around, or, those kind of things. So those are definitely steps to help keep you from feeling that way and to give you, like he said, like it's all about like having a plan because after that first experience that we had, we knew like, we need a plan. Okay, so I hope you learned something from the tips, and I really hope you enjoyed our story from the first one.
It was fun thinking back to it. That was a good trip.
Right. So if you have any stories as well, leave them in the description below because we would love to hear them. Because fueling up, it's a challenge. It can be a challenge, for sure. So we hope either way, if you have a diesel or a gas, we've given you some tips to help you with that. And also, if you have any questions, leave them. Chris will be happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.